how much we've improved.
Jeremy, how has Micah handled the challenge of shifting back and forth from safety to nickel back, and what makes him able to handle those dual roles?
Well, I think he has experience. I think he's a smart guy. You know, he's a guy that can play multiple spots, and he's been a guy that's kind of, you know, picked the defense up the quickest and can make the call, so that helps.
Jeremy, did you ask Phillip to maybe meet with your offensive line, offer a few pointers, since he's a renowned offensive line coach?
No, well, it's kind of like, you know, when I get ready to go somewhere, my granddad used to be a truck driver, so he always knows the best route. So I think I'd be foolish, you know, if I didn't talk to Coach Fulmer about anything in the football program, not just O-line, but anything. So I'm asking him questions all the time.
But Jeremy, did he meet with your players and talk to them?
Yeah, he's met with our players several times. I think if you look at every sports program at Tennessee right now, he's probably met with all of them. He's fired up about being here and the direction that we're headed.
Talk about Josh Palmer and maybe what you've seen from him from the moment you got here to now, and how much he's grown into the role that he's currently in.
Well, he's still learning how to play football. You know, he's not played a whole lot. He's getting better at his position, running routes a little smoother, a little cleaner. Got to improve a little bit in blocking out on the perimeter, but he has improved each week.
You've obviously been involved in a lot of big games, big rivalry games before, but what do you know about this specific Tennessee-Florida rivalry, and what is it going to kind of take it to get back where it was kind of the marquee game in the SEC, you know, a decade or so ago?
Well, I know when I was growing up, it was always the first big SEC game of the year. So I used to, when I was growing up, I always loved to watch it. It's a lot of passion with both fan bases, a lot of tradition, so I'm thankful to have a chance to be a part of it.
Last two games y'all played teams you're clearly better than, and now this game starts a stretch of 5 straight games. Lots of ranked teams or teams that have been ranked. How do you kind of prepare some of the younger players to let them know what they're in for these next few weeks?
Well, you know, I don't think it probably does matter who you play, but there's a big deal that the things that we need to improve on has nothing to do with who we're playing. It's us. So that's what we can control. So we're going to worry about the things that we can control.
Coach Pruitt, you've gone up against the Dan Mullen offense in previous years. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what you expect from them come Saturday and how they're going to use their quarterback?
Well, his offenses are always very physical. They're sound. They're very well coached. They give you different looks. If you look over the years, he adapts to the players that he has. He's very multiple. Always tough to get off the field on them on third down. They've always been a team that runs the ball a lot on third down. You have to be conscious of that. You know, he'll go for it on fourth down. He'll, you know, over his career. You know, and they're tough to keep them to field goals in the red area.
Jeremy, it didn't look like you guys maybe rotated as much on the offensive line on Saturday. Are you guys close to maybe having a 5 that you want to stick with and see about continuity, or is there still guys still fighting to get in that top 5?
Well, I think that there's going to be competition the entire year at every position. So, you know, those are the guys who probably performed the best during practice, and that's the guys that we went with. Talking about Kirkland?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just banged up his shoulder.
Jimmy, when you look at Florida on film, do you see a team kind of like yours in that they're learning some new things, and there's some guys sometimes maybe zigging when they should zag, and can you kind of see a first-year coaching staff there on film when they're with their players?
No, I think their guys have done a really good job. What I see is kind of what you've seen over the years with the Dan Mullen coached offense and special teams, and then Todd Grantham on defense. So they're very well coached, and to me they look like they're kind of probably ahead of where they should be.
Austin and Steve.
Jeremy, can you talk about, Saturday, you talked about how it just kind of worked out because of the drop by Callaway to put Keller in there at the end of the half. And looking back, do you maybe wish you'd gotten JG a little bit that 2-minute experience there because he's not played that much?
No, the way the game went, I wanted to make sure we got Keller in there. We have confidence in Keller. We do 2-minute all the time in practice, so I'm glad we got an opportunity to do it.
The top 25 right now, 4 SEC teams in the top 9. You've been in this league a while. Do you sense the league's maybe a little deeper than it's been in the past, or same as usual, or can you tell yet?
Well, you can ask me in November, and I'll have a little better idea. I've just really focused on who we've got this week, which is Florida, so I hadn't looked at a whole lot at the other teams.
Jeremy, look at Jared Garantano, 72% completion percentage. I think that ranks 10th in the nation right now. At the same time, just 2 passing touchdowns. How much do you want him to be a manager of the offense versus a playmaker?
Well, I think when you talk about quarterback, the most important thing is managing the offense, being efficient at running the offense, making sure we're in the right place, managing the shot clock, making sure that if we do have any checks on, that we get them operated, we get them communicated. I think he's done a really good job getting the ball out of his hand. So I think he is a playmaker.
Other questions for Coach?
Coach Pruitt, how when you look at your wide receivers when it comes to blocking, are you impressed with how they've done so far, and what are things they can work on, especially when they're all getting to the outside?
Well, I think our guys have played hard on the perimeter, and I think they've improved every week. I think Coach Johnson does a good job addressing that. So, and that's part of being a complete player. There's more to it than just catching balls and running routes, and I think these guys have worked hard to do that.
Jeremy, I think you mentioned that Will Ignon had a good week of practice. It looked like he played decently well on Saturday. Can you talk about kind of his development and kind of how much he's progressed as a player since you guys maybe started camp, and kind of where's he at right now?
Well, I think Will's a sharp guy. He's got a good understanding of what we're trying to get done. He just needs to play. He needs an opportunity to play, and he's working hard to create that for himself.
Any other questions for Coach? John?
Jeremy, is Trey Smith 100% yet after missing so much time in the offseason, or do you think he's full speed now?
Yeah, physically he's 100%. I think when you go back, there's lots of things, each week you prepare for what your opponent's done, but you kind of lay a foundation in spring ball, summer camp, fall camp. He's not got a chance to do that. So there's certain things that have came up in each game that he's probably not seen before. Probably didn't see it in practice. There's things you just kind of got to fall back to your kind of foundations. And he sat in the meetings and he watched it on tape, but he hadn't experienced it. So he's going to continue to improve the more he plays. But yeah, I would say he's healthy, John.
Jeremy, it looked like you got after DeAndre Johnson a little bit on the sideline in the game the other day. Just kind of curious maybe what his error was and maybe how you decide when's the time to get in the guy's face and when's maybe a time to teach him in a different way.
Well, I think DeAndre's got a really bright future. He's a guy that I think can rush the quarterback. He can play on the edge, and I have a lot of confidence in him. Heck, we got 12 men on the field. He's not on number 1 dime rabbits. And it's like I told him on the sideline when I'm talking to him, just look at me when we're talking, But DeAndre's going to be a really good player for us.
Any other questions? Last one, Rick, and Justin, we're done.
Coach, you've had a couple afternoon games over here, and then sorry about that, and then noon. Make a difference to you? Do you prefer playing earlier or later in the day? Does it bother you at all?
Yeah, just whenever we're going to play, we have no control over that. So, you know, I'm just glad that I get an opportunity to coach in games like this. So if we were going to play at noon or midnight or 6 in the morning, that'd be okay with me.
Last thing back here, RPOs, it seemed like you guys took advantage of more of those, throwing to the outside. Is that something you'd like to see Jarrett kind of continue to take advantage of those number opportunities when you guys have the advantage?
You know, the RPO stuff is tough to defend, okay? And there's good and bad with it, you know. So if people are outnumbering you in the box, at least it gives you answers outside. But at the same time, you know, one time Saturday we had an RPO called and Jarrett handed the ball off, which he should have, but the wide receivers are running an RPO, and one of the guys that's guarding the wide receiver comes off and makes the tackle. You know, so it's an 8-yard gain, where if we'd have been blocking him, you know, it might have been a 20 to 25-yard gain. So, you know, but you can look at it on the other hand. You know, he could be blocking the guy and say the look they gave us was something. There was more guys than our offensive line could block. Excuse me. So you want to have an answer there. But, you know, so there's good and bad with it. I think the big thing is if you run RPOs, once the receiver's clear, you know, and the ball's handed off, I think they got to turn and really become blockers in a hurry.